Lectures on the Sutra of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's Original Vow. Episode 1. The Collected Works of Venerable Master Chin Kung. In May 1998. At the Singapore Pure Land Society. Fellow students, in every new temple I established in the past years, the first sutra I would lecture on was always the Sutra of the Past Vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Why should we preach this sutra? The establishment of Buddhism cannot be separated from hardware facilities. In our current terms, there must be land, houses, and buildings. With the hardware facilities in place, we now have a place to practice Buddhism. But what is the basis for practicing Taoism? We must know. The practice of Taoism must be based on the mind, and the Sutra of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is our first course. After having the hardware facilities, the most important software is the mind and method. Therefore, we must first explain the Sutra of the Past Vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva as the foundation for our practice of Mahayana. If you do not understand the Dharma of the mind and do not know how to start cultivating from the mind, you will definitely achieve nothing in the end. In other words, no matter how hard you work, how hard you try, how determined you are, and how diligent you are, you still cannot escape the cycle of reincarnation. All you cultivate is nothing but leaky blessings. In China, the Mahayana teachings are represented by four great bodhisattvas, the first of which is Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Developed from Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is Guanyin Bodhisattva, who is compassionate and merciful. Ksitigarbha is filial piety. Why is Buddhism so declining today? Why can't people who study and practice achieve the same remarkable results as in the past? Everyone has forgotten their roots. This is unfilial and disrespectful. This kind of practice is what Teacher Li often talked about in the past as playing with Buddhism. He is not practicing Buddhism, nor is he promoting Buddhism. It is to play with Buddhism and entertain oneself. When one has nothing to do, one uses Buddhism for entertainment. That's true. What Teacher Li said is not an exaggeration at all. Let us think about whether we ourselves are also making fun of Buddhism. Are you also playing with Buddhism? It's just to cultivate some merits with leaks. But this blessing is not to be enjoyed in this world, so where can we enjoy it? Go to the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and other evil realms. Why can't we enjoy it human realm? You are not qualified to be a human being, so the blessings you cultivate cannot be enjoyed by human realm. We must be clear about this. As a person, you should know how to be filial to your parents and respect your teachers. The first of the three blessings in the Avadamsaka Sutra is, respect your parents, serve your teachers, be kind and do not kill, and practice the 10 good deeds. Only then can you obtain a human body, and only then can you enjoy the blessings you have cultivated in the human and heavenly realms. If you cannot do these four things, the blessings you have cultivated will definitely be enjoyed in the evil paths. There are also great blessings in the evil paths. We understand all these principles and things, but we just can't turn them around. In other words, we understand them, but we can't do them. Why can't it be done? To be honest, I don't understand these things thoroughly enough. If he truly understands it, he will be able to repent of his sins and turn back to the right path. Therefore, when a new temple is established, The Sutra of the Past Vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is absolutely indispensable and must be preached. Dear students, please come here to study. We have listed this course as the main course today. Although we don't have much time, we will definitely explain the key points in detail. For the second part, Venerable monks have detailed annotations and Master Shingi has popular speeches, which can help everyone as a reference. In the future, when you spread Buddhism at home or abroad, whenever you go to a temple, you should first preach the Sutra of the Past Vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, then the Sutra of Infinite Life, and encourage people to recite the Buddha's name and be reborn in the Pure Land. This is a definite rule. The commentary on the Sutra of the original vow of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva was written by Master Lingjian of the Qing dynasty. He lived during the reign of Emperor Kangxi, the early Qing dynasty, and his annotations were very good. When we read his annotations, we must carefully appreciate them, express them in modern language, and explain them using modern people's concepts, so that everyone will be easier to accept. He had Luan Guan before him. The first part, Luan Guan, is a brief introduction to the main idea of the whole scripture before explaining the scripture. Luan Guan includes 5 levels of profound meaning. This is the first part. The second part teaches us how to observe the Dharma, that is, teaches us how to change our ideas when studying this sutra. The third part is an introduction to the main idea of the whole scripture. His Luan Guan is very long, and this part is very important. In the part on profound meaning, the title of the sutra is explained completely in accordance with the Tiantai method. Distinguish the nature. The nature is the basis of the theory. It is the basis on which the Buddha preached this sutra. After we understand it, we can develop firm faith in this sutra and in the Buddha's teachings. So the third part is about cultivation. In other words, how to put these principles and theories into practice in our lives. The fourth part discusses the application. What kind of merits and benefits can we obtain by practicing according to this method? The last and fifth part talks about the teaching aspects, which refers to the Buddha's teaching methods and teaching rituals. The Master used the 3 words, incredible, in these 5 subjects. The title of the sutra is named after the inconceivable person and Dharma. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is inconceivable, and original vow is inconceivable. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is a person, and the original vow is the Dharma. In the differentiation of nature, he said that the inconceivable nature and consciousness are the nature. Nature is the true nature, which is realized by all Buddhas. Consciousness is the intention of ordinary people in the 9 realms. Ordinary people in the 9 realms are in delusion. And when they are deluded, it is not called nature but consciousness. Nature is the true mind, and consciousness is the false mind. In other words, he is talking about the true mind and the false mind of sentient beings in the 9 realms as the basis for his argument. This is great. What is the basis for the Buddha to preach this sutra? This sutra was spoken to us based on the true mind of all Buddhas and Tathagatas, and based on the false minds of sentient beings in the 9 Dharma realms. The basis of this sutra can be said to be so real. The nature of the land is inconceivable. We are talking about Ksitigarbha. The nature of the land is the inconceivable true mind. The false mind of sentient beings in the 9 realms of existence is also inconceivable. The inconceivable nature and consciousness are the essence of the sutra. It also takes inconceivable actions and vows as its main theme. The purpose of this sutra and the great deeds and vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva are inconceivable. It also uses inconceivable conveniences, which can be clearly seen throughout the sutra, letting us know how to learn. Finally, the teaching is to reveal the Supreme Bodhi in an inconceivable way. If we use the 5 metaphors of ancient great masters to illustrate the teachings, milk, yogurt, raw butter, cooked butter, and ghee can represent the 5 stages of Buddhism. Ksitigarbha's original vow is the Supreme Dharma, the foundation is the Supreme Dharma, and what is achieved is of course the Supreme Buddhahood. This is the general outline of Shwani. There are 2 purposes for us to talk about the Sutra of the Original Vow of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva here today. One is that at the invitation of Master Renda from Jiahua Mountain. I promised him to introduce the general meaning of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's original vow to the public before the birthday of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. We plan to start the lecture on September 1st and finish it on September 20th. The 20th happens to be July 30th in the lunar calendar, the birthday of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. The second meaning is that since the establishment of the Singapore Pure Land Society, we have not yet formally preached a sutra here. Today, we will begin to preach the Sutra of the Past Vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva for the new temple, which is in line with our practice of preaching sutras for new temples for many years, so it has this dual meaning. I will first explain this great sutra to my fellow practitioners in the Bowen Hall of the Pure Land Society. Of course, the most important thing in the profound meaning is to introduce the title of the sutra, the Sutra of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's original vow. Of these 7 words, the first 6 are specific titles, and the word Jing is the general title. All the dharmas spoken by the Buddha are called Jing. Other topics are further divided into people and dharma. We will omit these 7 types of topics. Master Xingyi explained them very clearly in his lecture notes, which you can refer to. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is a person, and original vow is the Dharma. This topic was said by Sakyamuni Buddha himself. The Buddha said in the sutra that this sutra can be given 3 titles, and all 3 were said by the Buddha. The first one is the original vow of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. In this Dharma assembly, the Buddha proclaimed to us the original vow of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. It can also be said to be the original practice of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Practice and vows complement each other, and if there is a vow, there must be practice. To put it in modern terms, the meaning of a practice includes the life of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, the practice of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, and the way Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva deals with things and people. These are his main practice. It is also known as the Sutra of the Original Vow and Power of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Power refers to his extraordinary ability. The title of the sutra we are looking at now was chosen by the translator from among 3 titles, the original vow of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, because the original vow includes the original practice and the original vow power, and the meaning is all there. The Di in Dizang refers to the earth. The earth is the basis for the survival of all living things. Nothing can survive without the earth. Therefore, heaven and earth are given great importance in China. In the 8 trigrams, its aspect is Kuan, and its virtue is mother. The Book of Changes says, "How great is Kuan Yuan?" Great means reaching the extreme. This is used to describe the proliferation of all things on earth. All things are born from the earth, so earth means the ability to sustain, to nurture, to carry, and to give birth. The Buddha used this to illustrate our mind, and our mind truly possesses this meaning. According to Buddhism, it means to maintain, to grow, and to bear the burden. Reside means that all dharmas reside in the true nature, and all dharmas are born from the true nature. As stated in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it is manifested only by the mind, and transformed only by consciousness. The one true Dharma realm where all Buddhas reside. And the 10 Dharma realms where all sentient beings in the 9 realms reside, all the adornments of the Dharma are manifested from the true nature. Nature is the ability to change, and all things are what are changed. Our nature is originally endowed with infinite wisdom, infinite virtues, and powers. All infinite things are originally endowed. The purpose of Buddhist teaching is to teach us to understand our minds and see our nature. Why is this the purpose? After realizing the true nature of one's mind, all problems will be solved naturally. Moreover, this thing is definitely possible and can be done. Why are you so sure? Because everyone has true nature, which does not come from outside. Things that come from outside may not be able to be achieved, but how can it be impossible to achieve something that is inherent in one's own nature? The problem is that we can recover our true nature. In fact, there is no need to restore our nature. Today, there are obstacles in our nature. As long as we remove these obstacles, the nature will naturally appear. It is like clearing away the clouds and fog, and the sun will shine everywhere. The sunshine is a metaphor for our nature, and the clouds are a metaphor for obstacles. Obstacles are false, and the sunshine is real. When you are free from delusion, the truth will appear before you, so there is no need to seek your true nature. If you seek, that is delusion. There is no need to seek. When you are free from delusion, the truth is there. The Buddha tells us that the true heart is full of the 3 virtues. Dharmakaya is our true body, which is neither born nor destroyed, neither comes nor goes, neither dirty nor clean. The so-called original face before our parents were born, in Zen Buddhism refers to this thing. Unfortunately, our thoughts, delusions and attachments since time immemorial have obstructed the light and virtue of our nature, and this function has suffered great losses in the present moment. Of the 100 points of effect, we can now feel less than 1%, and the 99 points of virtue cannot be manifested. Don't you think it's a pity? Why does this phenomenon occur? We are lost, not knowing that we have infinite wisdom and infinite virtue. We are lost, lost for too long, too deeply, and too widely. The Buddha feels compassion for us when he sees us and helps us to awaken and recover. This requires practice. The cause is to practice 10,000 behaviors, and the result is to complete 10,000 virtues. The methods of practice are also infinite and boundless. Among the countless and boundless methods, there are convenient methods and inconvenient methods, and the Buddha has explained them all. Therefore, the Buddha expounded countless dharmas for sentient beings, as stated in the 4 Great Vows. I vow to learn the countless dharmas. Why did the Buddha teach countless methods? The natures of sentient beings are different, and their natures are also infinite and boundless. If we teach according to the nature of sentient beings, it will be easy to learn. If we do not teach according to the nature of sentient beings, they will find it difficult to study and practice. Among all the methods, the most convenient, the most reliable, and the easiest is the method of reciting the Buddha's name. In this sutra, the Buddha teaches us to chant the Buddha's name with sincerity. This is the same principle and the same thing as what is said in the Amitabha Sutra: arouse the Bodhi mind and chant the name of Buddha with single-minded concentration. If we cannot accept this method or have doubts about it, the Buddha will give you other convenient methods. This is truly the first method for Buddhists. Why is this method said to be the first method? If we observe carefully, we will be able to understand and appreciate the fundamental principles that the Buddha told us in the sutras. The Buddha tells us that all dharmas, both worldly and otherworldly, are manifested by mind and transformed by consciousness. These 8 words are the fundamental principle. They explain all the principles of all things and dharmas in the universe. It also tells us clearly that all dharmas arise from the mind, which explains only consciousness can change them. The mind can manifest images, and the changes in images are the function of the mind. This mind is consciousness, and the conscious mind is what we call thoughts. We understand this principle. When the Buddha says to chant the Buddha's name, we understand and nod our heads. Why? If you chant the Buddha's name, you will become a Buddha. It is very straightforward. Why do we chant Arhat to attain Arhat, then chant Bodhisattva to become Bodhisattva, and finally chant Buddha to become Buddha? Isn't this too long-winded? Beating around the bush. Why don't you just chant the Buddha's name directly? Among Buddhas, the Tathagata told us in the sutras and treatises that Amitabha is the most honorable among lights, the king among Buddhas. Amitabha is the first among all Buddhas. If you chant Amitabha Buddha, you will become Amitabha Buddha. If you chant Amitabha Buddha, you will become Amitabha Buddha. Why bother chanting other Buddhas? Other Buddhas are inferior to Amitabha Buddha, so why not just chant the perfect Amitabha Buddha? Through these principles, we can be sure that reciting Amitabha Buddha is the best. If you truly understand and know, and your mind is always thinking of Amitabha Buddha, then you are a true Buddhist. The way of the method of reciting the Buddha's name, the way and common precepts, all the precepts are fully complete. You will not violate or break the precepts, which is a common precept for the Tao. To attain samadhi is to observe the common precepts of samadhi. The common precepts of concentration are not as good as the common precepts of the path, and the common precepts of the path are not as good as the complete and pure precepts of reciting the Buddha's name. To have the same heart, same wish, same virtue, and same practice as Amitabha Buddha is the true great perfection. Therefore, in this method, the Buddha teaches us to chant the name and recite it with sincerity. Chanting means reading and reciting the Mahayana Sutras. Among the Mahayana Sutras to be recited, the Amitabha Sutra is the first. We have analyzed it with you when we were explaining it. We do not have the ability to make this analysis, but the ancient great masters of the Sui and Tang dynasties told us that all sutras ultimately return to the Avatamsaka Sutra. The Avatamsaka Sutra returns to the Amitabha Sutra. The Amitabha Sutra returns to the 48 vows. and the 48 vows return to the 18 vows. Some people now advocate chanting the Buddha's name based on the original vow, with particular emphasis on the 18th vow. Can one be reborn into the Pure Land by reciting the Buddha's name in full accordance with the 18 vows? If you follow the instructions, you will be saved. It only advocates reciting the Buddha's name 10 times at the time of death, or even one recitation can lead to rebirth. At ordinary times, you don't have to observe the precepts, you can do whatever you want, and commit sins, but you can still be reborn by reciting the Buddha's name at the time of death. This is true. Are you sure you can recite the Buddha's name when you are dying? If you observe carefully some dying people, can you see that their minds are clear? If a person is confused at the time of death, he will not be able to hear others reciting scriptures for him. At the time of death, karma will appear and one will not be able to hear the Buddha's name, and may even feel annoyed after hearing it. I have personally seen such people who chanted the Buddha's name all their lives but stopped chanting at the time of death. They are greedy for life and afraid of death and cannot let go. There is no problem with our original wish in theory, but in practice, it is difficult, very difficult. We need to be clear about what kind of good roots, blessings and causes and conditions those are. The ancient sages were truly extremely compassionate. They analyzed things very clearly and in detail for us, and advised us not to take chances, but to be down to earth, study and practice seriously, so that we can be confident at the time of death. Those who rely on luck will eventually fail. Therefore, advocating the original vow and abandoning precepts is a risky path. These arguments seem to make sense on the surface. The Buddha said so in the sutras. But if you analyze them carefully, they do not make sense. They have completely misunderstood and distorted the Buddha's meaning. So, how easy is it to wish to understand the true meaning of the Tathagata? When the Buddha was alive, he must have preached the Infinite Life Sutra many times, and the audience was different every time he preached this method. The scriptures record that there are so many people who are always with you. In addition to the regular followers, there are also different audiences who attend the meetings. Therefore, the Buddha's introduction to the Pure Land School and the Western Paradise also varies in detail and brevity. So when the scriptures were compiled later, the contents of the scriptures varied greatly. The most obvious difference is that we now see 48 vows in the 5 original translations, 24 vows in some scriptures, 48 vows in some scriptures, and 36 vows in some scriptures. If the Buddha only spoke it once, no matter who translated it, the number would have to be the same. There couldn't have been such a big difference. This proves that the Buddha preached it many times. If we want to know and understand the perfection of the Western Pure Land, we must read all the things that the Buddha introduced many times. In ancient times, Buddhist scriptures were all handwritten and circulated in very small quantities. If a person could read all 5 original translations in his lifetime, it was a great blessing and a great karmic affinity. Mr. Wang Long Shu of the Song dynasty was a man with great blessings, and of course he also received the blessing of Buddha. He only read 4 of the 5 versions. Mr. Wang Long Shu had never read the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra, translated in the Tang dynasty. Therefore, in the Assembly of Infinite Life section of the Maharatnakara Sutra, there are some very important words, which are not found in the other 4 versions. Mr. Wang Longshu was truly remarkable. He knew that ordinary people would hardly have the opportunity to see so many books, so he began to compile a collection. The collated version is a culmination of the original translations, gathering together what the Buddha said in various books. Seeing this book is equivalent to seeing all the versions. This is a good thing, a great compassion. His books were collected in the Tripitaka. Their inclusion in the Tripitaka means that all the great Buddhist masters of the past have acknowledged and affirmed that this approach is correct and without error. Wang Longshu's version was passed down to later generations. Most of the scriptures from the Infinite Life Sutra, quoted in Master Lianchi's annotations to the Commentary on the Amitabha Sutra, were taken from Wang Longshu's collection, which was recognized by Master Lianchi. Later, there were Peng Jiqing's edited edition and Wei Moshen's collected edition. The Wang version and the Wei version do have flaws, and these flaws are poor choices and inadequacies. They made revisions to the original translation. For them, there is no problem with this revision, and it is indeed better than the wording used in the original translation. Master Yin Guang disagreed, and he had his reasons. He was afraid that people in the future would casually change the scriptures. They set an example, which caused later generations to change the scriptures at will. As a result, the classic was completely unrecognizable when it was passed down. It was decided that this example should not be set. Master Yin opposed these 2 points. One was inappropriate selection, and the other was changing the original text. It did not mean that the text could not be compiled. In the early years of the Republic of China, Xia Lianzhu's book came out, which was a truly complete version. However, some people are stubbornly prejudiced and oppose this book, and advocate reading the 5 original translations. If you oppose this version and advocate one of the 5 original translations, then you will still not be able to read some important scriptures in the other 4 versions. The purpose of reading and reciting Mahayana Sutras is to dispel doubts and generate faith, and to build confidence. These are all biased and narrow-minded, prejudiced, shallow-minded, and narrow-minded. These obsessions are wrong. It is also said that Mr. Xia is a lay Buddhist, and lay Buddhists are not qualified to compile the Buddhist canon. Wang Longshu was a lay Buddhist, Peng Jiqing was also a lay Buddhist, and Wei Yuan was also a lay Buddhist. Master Lianchi was a monk and the founder of the Pure Land sect. Master Lianchi was able to adopt Wang Longshu's version. Master Lianchi did not say that Wang Longshu was a lay Buddhist and was not qualified to compile the version. He did not say that. If lay people are not allowed to do this and it must be done by monks, then Buddhism will lose its equality. In other words, one will definitely not be able to be reborn in the Pure Land. The Pure Land is a law of equality. The title of the sutra is Pure and Equal Enlightenment. If your mind is not pure and equal, you cannot be reborn there even if you chant the Buddha's name 100,000 times a day. If the mind is pure, the land will be pure. If the mind is peaceful, the land will be peaceful. The Western Pure Land is a pure and equal land. You must understand this principle. Mr. Xia was not an ordinary person. After his collection of works came out, it was a pity that Master Yin Guang had passed away and did not see this book. I believe that if Master Yin Guang saw this book, he would definitely praise and approve of it. Why? He corrected all the problems in the previous collections. This version did not change a single word of the original text, and the selection was appropriate, which was affirmed by Venerable Huiming at the time and by Venerable Tszizhou, a great master of the Vinaya school in modern times. Venerable monk Tszizhou used his notebook to give a lecture in Jinan, and the great lay Buddhist Mei Guangxi used his notebook to give a lecture on the central radio station. This book is circulated throughout the world today, which is in line with the old lay Buddhist's prediction before his death. He told his students that his collection of books would be spread from overseas to China in the future, and this promise has come true. Everyone doubted it at the time, but now they are sure that it is true. He also said that this sutra would spread throughout the world, so Mr. Xia's collection of sutras is completely consistent with his prediction. We must have firm faith, decide not to doubt, follow the teachings, and recite them often. We earnestly strive to do what the Buddha taught us in the sutras, and we are determined to abide by what the Buddha taught us not to do. Only by chanting Buddha's name and vowing to be reborn in the Pure Land can we achieve success in this life. We must believe in the Buddha's words. Every word and sentence in Mr. Xia's collection are the original texts from the 5 original translations. If you have any doubts, you can take out the 5 original translations and compare them. I have printed this book before. The title of this book is Pure Land 5 Sutras Reader. There are 5 original translations and 4 collated versions. A total of 9 versions of the Amitabha Sutra are printed in it for everyone to compare. There are 3 translated versions of the Amitabha Sutra, the translation by Master Kumarajiva, the translation by Master Xuanzang, and the collection by Mr. Xia, all of which are printed together. The purpose of printing this booklet is nothing more than to strengthen the faith of fellow practitioners. We must not be easily shaken by others. It would be a pity if it ruined the great cause and condition of our life. We must learn how to read and recite the Mahayana Sutras, take refuge in the Infinite Life Sutra, respect Amitabha Buddha, and know how to practice the offering method seriously. We have given you a detailed report in our lectures on how to make offerings. Make offerings to the Tathagata, make offerings to all sentient beings, and practice and make offerings as taught. This is the true offering. This kind of offering is the true offering to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva Mahasattva. Let us summarize the meaning of this sutra. If we can truly chant the name sincerely, read and recite the Mahayana Sutras, take refuge in the sutra, and make offerings to the sutra, the merits of this person will be immeasurable. He will definitely receive the blessings of all the Buddhas and great Bodhisattvas, not only Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, but also Avalokitesvara, Vajrasattva, Manjusri, Samantabhadra and other great Bodhisattvas, and will definitely obtain inconceivable rewards. In this sutra, the Buddha tells us that Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has been emitting light and preaching in countless incarnations since time immemorial, saving all living beings and permanently residing in the netherworld. How to preach in the netherworld? How do we learn? Are we going to hell? You must understand the meaning of every word and sentence in the scriptures. The underworld means that we should lower our posture. When we do good deeds, We don't need others to know about it or seek praise. This is the underworld. Do it silently, do it seriously and diligently, and give up all fame, wealth and gain. This is how you can achieve true merit in the netherworld and benefit sentient beings in the 6 realms with every thought. This sutra tells us about our relationship with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and our relationship with the sentient beings in the 6 realms. Ordinary people are ignorant and truly follow the law of the jungle, harming all sentient beings. These sentient beings are also ordinary people, and are also confused and deluded. If it is confused and deluded, the desire for revenge will never be eliminated. If you hurt it, its resentment will always be hidden in its alaya consciousness. How can it not seek revenge when it encounters the opportunity? This kind of revenge is the disaster in the world today, a great disaster. The Buddha talked about the disaster of war in the sutras. The next war will be a nuclear war. What is the cause of war? Eat the flesh of all living beings. The Buddha said it very clearly. If we want to avoid the world's wars, the only way to resolve the wars is if all living beings stop eating meat. When we were young and ignorant, we not only did not eat it, but also killed it. Ants, we have seen many people who have committed this sin. It's annoying when ants crawl into my house. I just boil a pot of water and kill them instantly. We see many people doing this, and we have done it ourselves, killing these small animals at will. I didn't know it before, but now I realize that I have made a serious mistake. Buddhism teaches us to confess, and today we understand this and know that we have done wrong things. We should practice diligently, recite, make offerings, and cultivate all merits every day, and dedicate the merits to our enemies, relatives, and creditors. We do not dare to enjoy this merit ourselves, but we hope to resolve all these grievances so that we can have smooth sailing on the path to Bodhi without any obstacles. Otherwise, we often talk about karma manifesting, so how could karma not manifest? How can these sentient beings who have been harmed by you easily forgive you? Impossible. We should learn from Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva and help them break through ignorance and attain enlightenment with a sincere heart, and help them escape suffering and attain happiness. The mind is like the earth. All dharmas and all sentient beings depend on it for their survival, growth, and bearing. Therefore, the sutra says, the mind is like the earth, which can accommodate everything. This compares the earth to the mind and to consciousness. Today, when we see the earth and step on the earth, we must remember to reflect on ourselves. The earth is our heart. The heart is equal and carries all dharmas and all living beings. The people you like and love also live on this earth, and the people you hate and resent also live on this earth. The earth does not distinguish between relatives and enemies, and has no likes or dislikes. We should learn from the earth. Originally our hearts are the same as the earth, but now we have thoughts and feelings in them, distinguishing between good and bad, and between beauty and ugliness. This is wrong. The ground does not differentiate, in other words, the true mind does not differentiate. The false mind differentiates, and the false mind is wrong. If you know that the false mind is divided, you will know the mind of all living beings. If you know that the earth is not divided, you will know the true mind. Therefore, The argument of this sutra is about the true mind and the false mind. This refers to the word earth.